Hello everyone, Shadow here, and welcome to another Transport Fever 2 Pseudo New York update. And before we begin today, I just want to take a moment just to say thank you to all of you who recently commented, or subscribed to my channel. Your support is truly appreciated. So I'm hoping that you guys notice a difference in how I sound. I picked up a better microphone this week, so you can really hear the inflections in my voice, or at least I hope so. I'm hearing it in the playback, so it sounds okay, but I don't know how it's going to transcribe onto YouTube, so I hope I'm coming through loud and clear. So I have several things to discuss with you guys today. All of it relates to the current video, but first I just want to give a big shout out to Michael Messiah. He pointed out an excellent model of an R160 Subway card used by MTA New York City Transit. Now, it is highly detailed. It only includes 2 cars, but from the 2 cars you can make the typical 3x3, 4x4, or even 5x5 layout used by multiple lines in the city. Now, Michael did agree to post it on the forums, and if he does do that before the time of the posting of this video, I will link it in the description. These are all the formats you can see the model comes in. It comes in a wide variety of formats, so it's very malleable. And the cost is listed in pounds, is listed in yens, and is listed in euros. And best of all, it's not copyrighted. It is free from copyright. So if any modder out there picks this up, I am sure it'll be greatly appreciated by the community. I mean, look at all those formats. It's just begging to be in the game. But seriously, if any modders can help us out and get this into Transport Fever 2, I am sure you will have a grateful community applauding your efforts. I'll post a link to the website in the description. Thanks again, Michael, for finding this. This was an awesome find. Anyways, let's get down to work, shall we? A couple more items I want to talk to you guys about. So if you recall, I did mention in my most recent channel update that videos will be slowing down. I think I will be producing, instead of a video a week, it will probably be closer to a video every 2 to 3 weeks. This can't be helped. The nature of my current job requires a lot of my attention, even when I'm home. So I'm going to do my best to have at least 1 video a month and potentially 2 videos a month from here on out. I don't see this actually changing for the foreseeable future, but what I do want to do is make sure that you guys get at least a regular update for Transport Fever 2. And again, if you missed my most recent channel update, I'll post a link up above so you guys can just catch up on what's going on with the channel. I will also likely do another channel update to just update you guys on what's been going on behind the scenes. A couple positive things that I think will really help the channel, but primarily just to keep you guys informed of what things will be going on and upcoming things that I do want to show you. Expect that one in May, probably the 1st or 2nd week in May. And a friend of mine who subscribed to this channel asked me why I chose the rolling stock that I am currently using. I just want to let you guys know that I am a big fan of the British rolling stock in both Transport Fever 1 and 2, primarily because they're the closest thing that looks like the American rolling stock, at least the rolling stock the MTA uses. Of course, in Transport Fever 1, they had more options in terms of liveries, but I'm making do for now. And as mentioned previously, if we can get the MTA rolling stock out into the game, they won't be needed anymore. So if you could just bump that thread, and showed a lot of the modders out there that there's a demand for this train, I am sure that someone out there will pick it up. Hell, it might even be one of you. Lord knows I can't do it. I can't model worth a damn. But I can make a map. Anyways, on to the show. But first, some housekeeping. Please like, subscribe, and share. Doing so will really help my channel. So here, I'm partially revealing one of my secrets. Yes, I do use Google Maps to help me place some of the stations and to see what they look like. So here is the initial placement of the downtown Manhattan J and Z lines, and I'm trying to connect Canal Street with Fulton Street. Now, you will see that I made a mistake that I am not going to correct because it was a pain in the butt trying to get it right. But the platforms at Fulton Street, Broadway, Nassau are actually incorrect. And I'm not going to change that. So, yeah. Also, so you guys know, I wasn't able to recreate Canal Street Station to its actual degree, and Chambers Street Station is not featured in this. Something had to be cut. Downtown Manhattan's just not big enough. So, goodbye, Chambers. Oh, and before we continue, just to remind you guys, a lot of the neighborhoods you're seeing, a lot of the cities here are not in the current version of the map. Most of them were deleted. You can check several videos back for the reason why. That is, if you're watching my entire YouTube playlist, that is. And I encourage you to, because each episode features a different line. So, check them out. A few videos back in episode 4 of this series, Aslat Estrup, and I apologize if I am butchering your name. I'll throw it up on the screen, but I am very bad at pronouncing names, just so everybody knows. But he had asked me if I've ever used the compact tunnel entry. Now, initially, I wasn't going to use this mod. I didn't find a use for it prior to now. But upon my many revisions to this line, I did find a use for it. You won't see it just yet, but when you do, I think you and everyone else will greatly enjoy how I put it into the game. Or at least I hope so. That is my hope. So, yes, again, thank you for that. It was actually because of you that I found a use for it. Because you really made me think hard about finding a use for that particular mod. The compact tunnel entry. I'll also link that in the description so you guys know what I'm talking about. So what I'm doing on screen right now, I'm actually trying to lay out the initial line for the LIRR tracks. As the J and the Z actually recede underground, they actually kind of run a little parallel before they go underneath the LIRR tracks. So I'm trying to capture that here. It looks a little poor now, but wait, don't judge. Don't judge. It gets better. So one of the things that make the J, M, and Z line a little bit more unique than others is the fact that the track layout for the stations are actually set up as if it was meant to have a third track. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of the stations has the room for the third track, but not necessarily the third track there. So how I design it really is I take the station, I design it for 3 tracks, and then I delete the middle. Now, regrettably, the game doesn't automatically put some sort of connector between both sides, so it kind of looks like they're just hanging there. But the end result, I think, is satisfactory. Now, one of the things I do regret about the size of this map when it comes to laying out the lines is actually showcased here. There's just not enough room for all the stations. So a lot of stations, like I said, as always, have to be cut. And in the case of the J and Z line, that's really a shame because now they're the only line that's operating a unique skip stop service in the city. In the past, it was multiple lines, including the 1 and 9 that operated a skip stop service, but now it's just the J and the Z. So, what do I mean by skip stop? So, say the J stops at one station, it will skip the next stop and stop at the one after that. Whereas the Z will skip the stops that the J stop at, and there are several stations where you can transfer to each that they both stop at. And that's mainly between Broadway Junction and all the stations heading out towards Queens. There is a bit of skip stop going on in Brooklyn, but not as much as there is in Queens. And I did translate that here into the game, but I didn't keep it as realistic as you guys might have wanted it to be. So that's why it's pseudo realistic. I just chose random stations and I made them skip stops. So what you're seeing right now is the redesigning of the Broadway Junction stations. I had to tear down the original layout that I had, but it was only a placeholder mainly. I had originally laid it down to let me know where the L and the J and the Z line have to cross and meet up with the A and the C line as well. So it's not too big of a loss. And some of you who are also following me on Steam will see that I already had posted pictures probably like a month back of the final result. So over here, I am smoothing out the land where the J and the Z line connect to the R line in Manhattan. It really needed it, trust me. But I couldn't get the lines to link up before going underwater, so it has a little bit of a messy look to it. I'm not gonna change it. It just is what it is. Sorry. So one of the things I wanted to point out as I put down signals over here in Manhattan is the gradient at Essex Street. Yes, I know Essex Street doesn't really have much of a gradient, but it has a significant gradient here in Transport Fever 2, mainly because of how the line is set up and spacing, really. It's just not enough room to have the lines really subduct underground. So I had to make the station have a very significant gradient. Another thing I wanted to point out is the fact that with the omission of several stations on this line, I had to redesign how the J and the Z train goes express between Manhattan and Myrtle Avenue. Also, the names of the station between Manhattan and Myrtle Avenue may also change. I haven't decided that yet, given the fact that I kind of completely redesigned that whole area. But as it stands right now, Queensbound J and Z trains run express, skipping Marcy Avenue, which isn't realistic, but the name of that station may likely change. So over to the M line. Now, I have to admit, at the time of this recording, the M line, even though the line is laid out, it is largely incomplete. Mainly because of the fact that the area surrounding the M line is bare. The land is uneven. There's not that much scenery, not like the J and the Z line where I threw down trees and surrounding roads just to give it some more scenery. The M is fairly bare, so that is still going to be an ongoing project, and probably when I release the full M line as an actual video, you will see the end result. But you can see some of that here where the land is very uneven here at the terminus at Metropolitan Avenue. So I have to smooth this out. There's actually a freight line, actually the same freight line heading out from the Sea Beach video, but it's the same freight line running parallel to the M line over here. at Metropolitan Avenue. So some fencing needs to go down, some trees need to go down, the land needs to be smoothed out. I put the depot down, however, with the land being so uneven, you can't even see it from Metropolitan Avenue, which is not realistic. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and I'll get to it eventually. But unfortunately, you won't see that in this video. So as I finish laying out the line here, I just want to point out that the M line is also unique in that it is the only major line that starts and ends in the same borough. Well, at least until the T train comes out. And no, I'm not going to mention the Staten Island Railway because, you know, Staten Island's not a real borough. Anyways, and also, if you look at it from this perspective, the way how the lines are generally laid out in the MTA, at least at present, the lines all start and travel through at least 2 boroughs, generally 3 boroughs, never more than that. But the M line, given its redesign a few years back, now travels through Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, and then back in Queens again. So if you were to essentially look at it, it technically touches 3 boroughs 4 times, which you can basically say it touches 4 boroughs, but you know, you get where I'm going with this. It is the only line that does that. And that's mainly because originally when the M line was redesigned, just before it was redesigned, the route that it ended up traveling through was covered by a limited run train, the V line, which no longer exists. That train ran from 2nd Avenue all the way to 71st Street Continental in Queens. So when the V was axed, the M was tasked to take over its lines. The M used to travel between Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan, and then used to go back in Brooklyn again on rush hour service, which, come to think about it, I guess there's a precedent for that since it touched Brooklyn twice in that journey. Huh. You know what? I guess that means that the M has always been unique. And that's not even the first time that the line was redesigned, nor the second. It was actually redesigned multiple times. In fact, the M tends to be redesigned quite often whenever it comes to lines being axed. I wonder why that is. Well, all I remember was that when I was growing up, the M line used to go all the way out to Bay Parkway, traveling along with the B train, which actually the B and the D now swapped in Brooklyn. It used to be the D and the Q and the B and the M. But now in Brooklyn, it's the D line all on its own heading out to Coney Island, and the B and the Q sharing a line on the Brighton side. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the J, M, and Z lines, and not the B and the D and the Q, because we already have videos on that. Well, not the D yet, but again, later. So, some unfortunate news. My construction of the Williamsburg Bridge, as well as my redesigning of the line going underground in Queens, those files got corrupted. So I won't be able to showcase those for you guys here, but I will show you the end result of the actual line itself in a separate video. This video already went on long enough as is. And if you made it this far, a big thank you, because the way the YouTube algorithm works, watch time is gold. So the more watch hours, the more they promote my videos. So thank you. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, give it a like. It really does help my channel. So I will release a full line video of the J and the Z line in an upcoming video. This one is already long enough as is. Also coming up next is the L line. That is the Canarsie line. But until then, stay safe, stay inside, and thanks for watching. Subscribe for more.